tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Up and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Up and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Up and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Daily Vitamins. Okay, so as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right, now let's see who's all in here. All right, we the people, Nubia Ra, that crazy beach Aries, Michael M, Claudette. All right, let's get into it. Trisha is here. All right. Essential Oil Queen. All right, let's get into it. Hey, Nessa G. All right. W. Jones is here. All right. Deronda, Buckhorse DC's Nefarious Self. Okay, so shout out to all my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. I see you, Wavy, though. Lady Painter. And a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. Chili Willie from Philly, the lovely T. I see you, beloveds. Okay, so before we get into it, let's have a brief word with my sponsor. I see you, Overthoughts and G from the Land. All right, D Major is in the virtual building. Okay, Emperor Rex. All right, Wolfie Israel. Okay, so let's get into it. Desmond, I see you. All right, so let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes, and then we'll get this party started.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right. Okay, so that all been said, listen, let me just tell you all that ScrewTube blocked my video that I did this morning, okay, because I played that clip from the Daily Mail. I mean, not the Daily Mail, from the Daily Show, which I probably should have played, but even though I did use an overlay to edit it. So anyway, that's why the video was taken down, but it's right back up. So if you missed it, go back and catch it. Okay. With that being said, before we get into this whole thing about these psychedelics and Trump's foolish self, okay, listen to Joe Rogan. Is he serious? He didn't even do any research prior to. And it's so obvious because you can tell he's literally just hearing all of this stuff, it seems, while he's signing a whole executive order. Okay, it must be nice to just be able to text up the president and tell him to do something and he says yes without even doing research, mind you. Okay, so before we get into it, though, let's talk about these fires in Georgia. Okay, now I'm surprised that I didn't hear about this until just a few minutes ago when I saw a TikTok video, and I'm like, wait, what? I'm right in Georgia. How did I miss this? Well, because it doesn't look like it's being reported so immensely. Okay, as if it would be had it been California wildfires. Okay, and I'm sorry, I've never heard of wildfires in Georgia ever. All right. So that all being said, let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. I'm going to the footage. Okay, here we go.
East in Georgia, dozens of homes have already been destroyed. Multiple fires have exploded in size, including two massive ones in the southern part of the state. Skylar Henry is there in Waynesville. Skylar, good morning.
Hey, Nate, good morning to you. As the sun begins to rise here in Waynesville, Brantley County, it is gray in this area as smoke continues to billow throughout this area as well. Air quality, as you can tell, poor, which is why we're wearing these N95. So too is visibility. What you see behind me is what was a mobile home, now leveled because of this wildfire. Firefighters say they are still struggling to contain it.
In southeast Georgia, massive wildfires have transformed the sky into a fiery orange, burning through homes and neighborhoods.
These winds may shift rapidly, which will create unpredictable fire behavior.
Nearly 100 firefighters are battling the Pineland Road fire, which has exploded to more than 29,000 acres and is only 10% contained. And in Brantley County, more than 50 homes
I
have
don't
been
know what
lost.
happened to the sound.
1,000 more
I
are
can't hear
currently
it.
threatened.
It's very devastating. That's
There it is.
watching your kids' faces when you tell them that they wake up and go to school from a house, and then you pick them up and you have to tell them that they lost everything.
There is devastation all throughout the region. What we believe to have been a mobile home area has been completely leveled and covered with ash.
High winds and extreme drought conditions have sparked more than 90 new fires over the last several days, forcing some families from their homes.
We were scared.
13-year-old Eric Perez and his family are taking shelter at a church in Nahunta.
My parents said we had to go like fast, right now.
Just across the state line in northern Florida, multiple large fires impacted rail service through the region, stranding hundreds of Amtrak passengers earlier this week. Officials say the situation there has improved, but significant risks remain.
That elevated fire danger will continue across southeast Georgia and northeast Florida.
And as a result of the state of emergency declarations here in the state, some 150 National Guard troops will be here on hand to try to help both on the ground and in the air. Help could also be in the way as it relates to Mother Nature. Rain is in the forecast for this weekend, though not a lot of it. Officials say that they can use all the help they can get to try to figure out some sort of containment. Nate?
Yeah, we are all hoping that help is on the way. Skylar, thank you.
Okay, so like I said, I definitely hadn't heard anything about it. Now let's go to one more. Hold on. Let me see if this is the same thing. Hold on, beloveds. Let's see what they're saying on this next report. I feel bad. These people are losing everything. And imagine taking your kids to school and then before they get home, the house is burned down. That's awful.
The southeast and the state of Georgia is currently seeing the worst of it. The Highway 82 fire has burned 5,000 acres so far, is only at 15% containment. Fox Weather correspondent Robert Ray joins us live from Atkinson, Georgia. Robert, you've been on the ground since yesterday, and it just looks awful seeing that scene around you.
It is, yeah. This is Atkinson, right off of Highway 82, which has been mostly closed the past couple of days. And look, you see this trailer that is burned, scorched, the ground also full of ash and soot and vehicles that were just burned out. I talked to one of the police officers on duty here just moments ago as he directed us into this area. And Richard, if you can have a view of this vehicle just completely fried out. But he was telling me that, you know, they're considering trying to reopen parts of 82, but they're concerned still about smoke wafting across the road from the forest. And just shot video, and maybe we have that ready and we can take a look at it. If not, we're looking at other pieces of video from the past couple of days of this fire. But yeah, indeed, at least 5,000 acres have been scorched here in Brantley County as we make our way through the forest. And it's got really debris on the ground from not only the fire, but retardant that firefighters have been dropping. And you just see how black and scalded it is because of all of this flames. And this is because of a drought. Amazing amount of lack of precipitation. Since September of last year, just 11 inches of rain has fallen here in southeastern Georgia, a massive deficit. And then you add, you know, winds to the situation in the past couple of days that have kicked up, and that has just been nasty. But Richard, take a look and just give them a view, if you can, of this entire roadway. And we'll walk through it if we can, and you'll just see how the flames made its way through into this neighborhood, not only burning vehicles, but homes as well, if we can make it over there. You know, the county has been giving updates very frequently on the situation here in southeastern Georgia, which, by the way, over 50 square miles of land has been burned because of all of these fires. But let's listen to one of the county managers that I caught up with yesterday on the amount of destruction.
54 homes that have been lost for sure, and that's been proven by the state. We've got some fire marshals and stuff that are actually doing damage assessment for us. The governor made his declaration today that basically once that's done, FEMA can then step in. They can determine if the expenses and the cost of this situation is going to go high enough, or if they have resources.
Yeah, it's important that, you know, that declaration was filed by Governor Brian Kemp, because that allows FEMA to not only get money, but like he was just saying, resources in here. In the meantime, this is, you know, steel that is burned to a crisp. This looks like a large mobile home left to nothing at this point. And you could just smell the residue of the smoke. And on Highway 82 coming in from Jekyll Beach, where I overnighted last night on the Atlantic, just about 30 miles away. Amazing that the ocean's that close. You know, you just saw parts of the forest still burning and smoldering. And unfortunately, look, this is going on in Florida as well. About 150 fires are still burning in the state of Florida. The agriculture secretary down there calls it the worst fire season that they have seen in over 30 years down in the Sunshine State. A lot of issues here, and most of this is all due to the drought and the lack of rain that we have seen really since last summer in this part of the country. Melanie, back to you.
Robert, I'm just speechless looking at all that devastation. And the thing about wildfires is they just happen so quickly, and then you get devastation like that. Yeah. Have the county officials, have they been able to say what they think caused this, or is it still too early for that?
You know, I asked that question yesterday because it's obviously on everybody's mind. It could be anything at this point. They're not ruling out the fact that, you know, it could have been a power surge that happened on Monday in the area, but they're also not ruling out the fact that, you know, someone quite literally could have their lawnmower going and a spark could have went out into something and caught one of the pine trees on fire. Maybe somebody flicked a cigarette. It's anybody's guess at this point, but that investigation is absolutely on its way, as they're still trying to contain, right? A very low containment number right now. And again, over 50 square miles has burned here in the state of Georgia. And gosh, there's no rain in sight. I mean, up in Atlanta, yeah, maybe this weekend we're going to get some rain, but not down here in southeast Georgia and northern Florida. Just incredible scenes.
Yeah, the forecast is so bleak. We've also been talking, one of the secondary impacts, but a big impact if you suffer from asthma is the air quality. Have you noticed any impact with the air quality specifically where you are, or can you feel the impact of it?
Yeah, I mean, let me put it this way. It's not overwhelming because, you know, the swath of where the wind is pushing it is actually more to the north. What's fascinating is when I was driving down from Atlanta yesterday, I felt that the conditions outside were a lot more dense as far as the smoke, about 80 miles to the northwest of here. And the odor was very intense. And then I get down here and it was less. I was very surprised, but you know, that's just the way all of this moves. And by the way, you know, Georgia is also getting some of the wind and the smoke from the fires in northern Florida as well. So it's just like all of this is compounding in the area, and amazing that Atlanta skyline looks the way it does, especially yesterday. That was amazing to see.
Yeah, all has to do with the way that the wind blows. It's just your heart goes out to those families that are impacted by that fire. A series of dangerous wildfires are currently burning across the southeast, and the state of Georgia is currently seeing.
Well, so there you have it, folks. Listen. Maybe, hold on. I missed 2 shows and caught up. I'm sorry, beloved. You know they're lax with sending out those notifications, honey, at the end of the day. So this is all drastic, but you know what? So in 2008, hold on. In 2008, there was a drought in southeast Georgia. There was a drought in southeast Georgia. And they say that they had the Eastern Shoshone elder by the name of Benny Blue Thunder LeBeau performed a drum-pounding rain dance on the Capitol steps to seek relief from the historic drought. While it did not rain immediately that day, significant rainfall eventually returned to Georgia later that year. Okay, with 2009, honey, that don't help. But I tell you one time, I do remember seeing these people do a rain dance and it started raining. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. That's why I was looking it up right now. And I do believe this was in California. Hold on, let me just go and see. Y'all think I'm joking? Hold on. Yeah, here it is right here. It was February of 2014. A documented instance of a rain dance being performed at a Capitol building followed by rain occurred February of 2014 when a group performed a rain dance in front of a California government building during a severe drought. This was Sacramento, California. Following a period of a severe drought, a group led by individuals like Sanchez and Reyna performed a rain dance at the government site. And the following morning, which was February the 2nd, the group danced in the rain, okay, which was reported as the first measurable precipitation in over 6 weeks. Okay, so I believe that rain dances absolutely work. All right, I believe they absolutely work if you know what you're doing and if you really believe in the ancestors. What do y'all think? Plus, you have to have multiple people doing it. Blue Thunder likely did it by himself, and so it really didn't yield any fruitful benefits. But I literally saw those people out there doing a whole rain dance at the Capitol, and then I remember the next day it was pouring rain. Okay, I know what I'm talking about. That's right. Anonymous voice says Sanchez and Reyna danced. Exactly. Okay. DJ. DJ Big Six, do I need to put you out of here already? Talking about bands to make her dance. Oh, honey, y'all need to sit all the way down. Okay, anyway, I'm just talking about Native American traditions, okay? Because y'all know I'm a whole Cherokee. Now, with that all being said, Let's move on and pray for those people. But the good thing is we didn't hear anything reported about anyone losing their lives, okay? So that's a plus. I'm sorry those people lost their homes. I pray that they get everything recovered and that FEMA actually helps them. Okay, Trump, please get them some aid quickly, could you? All right? Oh, nefarious. Now, let's talk about these psychedelic rugs that Joe Rogan convinced Trump to sign an executive order for. All right, Joe, while you're at it, beloved, could you have him to sign something so we can get these gas prices down and the war can cease? Okay, I don't really care for Joe Rogan, and I just don't. I just don't care for him. He says the N-word, even though he's not calling anybody the N-word, he says it. And the fact that he said that joke about black people when he got into that neighborhood, he was going to see Planet of the Apes, and when he got out, he was in Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I didn't find that funny at all. Okay, I didn't find it funny at all. Now, some black people said he's not racist for telling a joke. Well, I absolutely think that was racist. Quite frankly, I was offended because I don't like him. All right? So it's no surprise that he's down with Trump. That's all I'm saying. So let's talk about it because as I told you all, Trump didn't do a bit of research, and I don't know if he even spoke to any advisors. He probably just thought this would be a good idea for him to get back into his base. Because let's not forget that Joe Rogan is the one who helped him to get in power. Okay, he's the one who helped him to get reelected because all of Joe Rogan's millions of followers watched that 2.5 hour, or maybe it was 3 hour interview that he did with Trump. Okay, and they fell for the bullshit. So with that all being said, let's go to the clip. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Hold on, let me delete this. That's the wrong one. Hold on just a second. Yeah, I find it all interesting. And while Trump didn't do any research, guess who did? Well, it was me. Okay, it was me. That's who did it. I did the research. All right, and we're going to talk about it. Joe Rogan reveals text to Trump that helped expedite federal review of psychedelics. Now, I have several clips from his visit at the Oval Office. So let's go to this report first. Yeah, this is Fox News. Okay, here we go. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. It's the least you can do, okay, for all the Queen's hard work.
Gigantic opiate problem in this country, obviously. In 2024, more than 80,000 people died of overdoses. It's a horrible number. And there's more than 5 million people that are addicted to opiates right now in this country. With one dose of Ibogaine, more than 80% of people are free of that addiction. With 2 doses, it's more than 90%. I sent him that information. The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it. It was literally that quick. These drugs are illegal not because they're harmful. They're illegal because of the 1970 Controlled Substances Act that was passed by the Richard Nixon administration. They did it to target the civil rights movement and the anti-war movement. It's not because these drugs harm people. And for 56 years, we've lived under those terrible conditions. We're free of that now. We're free of that now. Thanks to all these people that we see next to me, and thanks to President Trump. We have a gigantic opiate problem in this country, obviously. In 2024, more than 80,000 people died of overdoses. It's a horrible number. And there's more than 5 million people that are addicted to opiates right now in this country. With one dose of Ibogaine.
Sorry, beloveds, I was uploading another video. Okay, so now with that being said, let's go to this News Nation report. I'm going to share my screen.
Hope for the many people struggling with debilitating mental health issues, President Trump signed an executive order over the weekend. It expands psychedelic drug research as emerging therapies to treat mental illness. Trump was surrounded by supporters of psychedelic treatments as he signed the order. Podcast host Joe Rogan was among them. Rogan's been outspoken about the hallucinogen Ibogaine. He touts the drug's success in treating depression and PTSD. As President Trump pointed out, this has especially been helpful for veterans.
In 2024 study from Stanford University, 30 special operation veterans with traumatic brain injuries underwent, it's called Ibogaine treatment. Ibogaine. Remember the name. Is that pronounced relatively properly, would you say? Yes. I don't want to get it wrong. Ibogaine, because it's so important, and experienced an 80 to 90% reduction in symptoms of depression and anxiety within 1 month. Can I have some, please?
Jokes aside, early research really does suggest that Ibogaine may alter certain neural pathways that could help improve mental health conditions for many, many people who suffer and help stem a crisis that is claiming a staggering number of veterans' lives, a deadly toll my next guest knows all too well. Matthew Wiz Buckley is a former Top Gun pilot and supporter of these psychedelic treatments for vets. He's used Ibogaine to treat his own PTSD, and now as a founder of the No Fallen Heroes Foundation, he helps other veterans get the therapy as well. Buckley was also at the White House over the weekend when Trump signed that order, and Matthew joins me now. Great to have you back. You say psychedelic therapy saved your life. What happened?
What happened, Elizabeth, is I went down to Mexico with Marcus Luttrell, Navy SEAL, and JT, another veteran, another Navy SEAL, and an NFL player veteran who was suffering from horrific head trauma. And let me give you the cliff notes, Elizabeth. It was not fun. It was not recreational. I've done some challenging things in my life. This was without a doubt one of the most challenging, but I got about 40 years of therapy in 14 hours. I had lost my faith for decades. I had disconnected from my beautiful bride, my children. I had hit the bottle. Elizabeth, all of that was resolved. I came home and I said, this is how we're going to end veteran suicide. So for the past 5 years, we've been giving grants to veterans, first responders, and their families, because they serve too, to go heal with these powerful compounds. But Elizabeth, imagine having to go to another country to help heal heroes who incurred trauma serving this one. It was infuriating. So yeah, I was there Saturday morning. I had tears in my eyes, and I just, it's been an incredible journey, but this is the beginning of the end. This is just, we're just getting warmed up.
Yeah, you had said that you went down there for this therapy after your fourth F-18 brother committed suicide, and you said, I was convinced I wasn't too far behind him. I was curious, when you wrote about that incredible 14 hours, which sounds brutal and hard, but you said it shattered what I thought I knew about myself, God, trauma, and what it truly means to heal. I mean, it sounds extraordinary.
I'm a recovering Catholic, and this was the closest I've ever been to God in my life. Elizabeth, what does ego stand for? Edge God out. These powerful compounds, I don't call them drugs. These are medicines. Some people even refer to them as sacraments. They can dissolve that ego. Doesn't get any more ego than a Navy fighter pilot or a Navy SEAL. But on these compounds, you get to see who you truly are.
All right. I think I've heard enough. I think I've heard enough. Now, now let's go to what I found out about this. So here we go. Hold on here. Okay. Lights up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Now, the story of Ibogaine and its role in treating opioid abuse disorder sits at the intersection of hope, risk, and hard medical reality. For decades, opioid addiction has been treated as a chronic condition, as something managed over time rather than abruptly cured. Medications like methadone and buprenorphine. Okay, methadone and buprenorphine became the backbone of its approach. Now, they don't promise a dramatic breakthrough moment. Instead, they offer stability. But or by easing withdrawal symptoms and reducing cravings. Okay, they allow people to rebuild their lives gradually. Study after study has shown that these treatments lower overdose risk, improve long-term outcomes, and give people a real chance at sustained recovery. Now, in the medical world, they are considered the gold standard, not because they are perfect, but because they reliably keep people alive and functioning. Now, it goes on to further say, Ibogaine represents a very different philosophy. Okay, so hold on here. Now, let me just clarify. Okay, now let me continue. Anyway, it goes on to say, Ibogaine represents a very different philosophy. Okay, now, because what they're doing is they compared different rugs. Okay, I had them to compare different rugs. All right, when I looked this all up. So now here's what they say about the Ibogaine. Hold on, I lost my place. Okay, here's what it says. Ibogaine represents a very different philosophy. Derived from a West African plant, it is not just a rug, but an experience, one that can last an entire day or longer. Now, people who undergo Ibogaine treatment often describe it as intense, even overwhelming. But alongside that intensity, some report something remarkable, a sudden quietening of withdrawal symptoms and a dramatic reduction in cravings. Now, for individuals who have cycled through detox after detox, this can feel almost miraculous. Instead of enduring days of physical agony, they emerge from the experience with a sense that the worst has passed. Now, there is also a psychological dimension that sets Ibogaine apart. Unlike traditional medications, it doesn't simply stabilize the brain chemistry. It can force a confrontation with memories, habits, and emotional wounds that may have fueled addiction in the first place. For some, this leads to a sense of clarity or reset, a feeling that they are seeing their life from a new perspective. Well, that sounds kind of like what he said. You get to see the real you. So, but that promise comes with serious complications. Now, here's where it gets tricky, because I looked up the good and the bad. So, Ibogaine is not approved for use in the United States, and much of its use happens in clinics abroad where medical standards can vary widely. More importantly, it carries real physical dangers. Joe Rogan and Chop. Okay, now one of the most concerning is its effects on the heart, where it can disrupt normal rhythms and in some cases lead to fatal complications. Trump, you idiots, you should have looked this all up first. Now, this is not a minor side effect. It is the central reason that many doctors approach Ibogaine with caution or outright concern. Oh, listening. See, this is why Trump is so stupid. You see, because Trump takes advice from people who have no medical authority. Joe Rogan's no scholar. Okay, he has no MD. Okay, please make it all make sense. I thought that if he wanted to sign something, or I think that if he wanted to sign something, he should have gotten a team of medical doctors, scientists, if you will, to come and talk to him and then give him their takes on it. But no, he wanted to rush. And that's because he's desperate to get back his fan base that he has lost for the most part. That's my opinion. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Even when the immediate experience goes well, the longer-term picture is less certain. Some people remain opioid-free for weeks or months after treatment, but then relapse is not uncommon, you see, especially without ongoing support. Now, in that sense, Ibogaine is not a cure. It may open a door, but walking through it still requires therapy, structure, and often continued care, not to mention the risk, okay, that can be fatal, mind you. Now, by contrast, methadone and buprenorphine, I always forget how to say that word, in comparison, okay, these two, hold on, I lost my place again. Hold on, beloveds. Oh, here it is. Okay. They do not offer a dramatic turning point. They require commitment, daily dosing, regular check-ins, and patience, yet their strength lies in their predictability. You see, they reduce the cravings, stabilize the brain chemistry, and significantly cut the risk of overdose. Now, over time, they create the condition for recovery rather than attempting to force it all at once. You see, this Ibogaine to me sounds like basically a quick fix. And with anything that you think is a quick fix, well, it usually has some downsides to it. Okay, so it would be best to go with the other route, with the methadone and the buprenorphine. Okay, those sound like a better option, just in my opinion. But hey, what do I know? I'm no medical doctor. Okay, please pay attention. And I'm not giving you medical advice, by the way. Now, with that all being said, both approaches speak to the same goal, helping people break free from opioid dependence. The difference lies in how that freedom is pursued, either through a sudden high-stakes reset or through a gradual medically guided process that builds recovery step by step. Okay, so I just don't think that likely is the best option. I just don't think that's likely the best option. But, you know, they're going to review this because that's what the order was for. The executive order was for them to review it, which I think Trump should have reviewed it at least somewhat, at least done a little bit of research that I just did before he said yes. That's all I'm saying. Okay, otherwise you're wasting taxpayer dollars on bullshit. Okay, so with that all being said, let's continue. Now, with this whole thing about the scientist, okay, so Representative Tim Burchett came out and he's been speaking about this, and what he said was very interesting. Okay, hold on, let me pull up. Well, never mind. I'm not going to go to my TikTok. Y'all can check that out in my shorts. But let's go to some of these interviews he did where he spoke about it. Okay, he was on News Nation for one, so let's go to that clip. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
President Trump, as you know, is vowing to release more than 45 videos and UFO files. And you have said, quote, you would be up all night if the things that I've seen are released. What are you talking about?
Well, again, I'm in a skiff when I view these things, and we're not allowed to talk about it. But I think America deserves to know. We've had testimony. You've seen 11 people have either died or disappeared that have been close to this issue, whether that's a coincidence or not. I mean, if there was 11 members of the media like yourself disappeared, we have 11 barbers or 11 rabbis, I don't care. I think America would demand some answers. And for some reason, people are kind of hands off with this thing. But I think that I'll just say this. It's not about little green men or flying saucers. It's about what we're spending tens of millions, possibly billions of your dollars on. And we deserve transparency.
You mentioned the 11 scientists and high-ranking people with national security clearance that have all disappeared. You've said that intelligence agencies are thwarting your investigation into them. What do you mean by that?
Well, we're just not getting any answers. Everybody says there's nothing to see here. And then, I mean, how do you explain that? I mean, people leaving their house without any identification. One person took their pistol in their holster, but no identification. And you don't find these people. You can't, it's difficult to go down a street in Knoxville, Tennessee without some camera getting your picture somehow to somebody's front porch or something. And yet these people are disappearing, and they all have a tie-in in this, I won't say this industry, but in this research. And I think it's time and I'm glad the president is taking it serious.
Yeah.
And I hope that he comes forth with this stuff and just lets America know, because, you have one group in these alphabet agencies telling you something exists, and then you have somebody else in the same agency to say that they don't.
Mind you, Please note that he said in these alphabet agencies. Alphabet agencies, could he be speaking about the FBI or the CIA? Because that's who I would be banking money on. Okay, now here's another one. Trump declassified UFOs, then experts vanish. If you all remember when Trump came out and made that announcement that he was going to declassify the information on the UFOs, and I told you all that he's only trying to do that now because President Obama did that interview and they asked him if he believed there were aliens, and he said yes, and then Trump said, oh, he's giving up classified information. He could be arrested for that or something stupid he said because he's always hating and so desperately jealous of President Obama. So then he decides to say that he's going to declassify this information. And then that's when they say the disappearances began. Okay, now I'm not so sure about that because some of these people already were gone. One lady died in 2022, Amy Eskridge. Okay, so with that all being said, I don't think it was because of what Trump said. I think it was something else. I don't want to give Trump any credit that he doesn't deserve.
That right after President Trump said to declassify all the UFO stuff, that the UFO experts that you have personal knowledge of and that you have.
Hold on. Let me put an overlay on here because I don't know whose podcast this is. Okay. Let's continue.
Personal connection to, they've gone missing or wound up dead.
Well, one did, the one everybody's looking for, and it's pretty, I don't know the circumstances. He left with a 38 in his holster, and you're never going to convince me otherwise. I don't care what they find. I don't care what they find at this point. My wife said it the other day, how does somebody disappear in this day and age? How do they disappear?
Looks like this
and
is.
I just think there's a lot going on. We got to get to the bottom of it. And there's a lot of and I talked to the president about that. He asked me what I thought, and I said, Mr. President, I think it's like an onion. You just keep peeling it back. There's that lady right there. She had metallurgical knowledge, some of our missiles and stuff, and it's just too much, Benny. Too much is going on right now.
Advanced aerospace propulsion and plasma physics, fusion and rocket tech is the individual who's recently gone missing. Well, that sure as hell sounds like working on the UFO project. Right? Yeah.
Let's go to the next clip.
People need to know what we've seen and what these pilots are seeing. And Luna, for instance, we requested all those videos, and she is, gave kind of a deadline when she'd like to have them by. And she calls over there and they say, well, we don't know anything about the letter kind of stuff. The same old stuff you and I've run into for years on this issue. And America's.
I should be able to show this because it looks like it's News Nation. Okay, let's go.
It's just ready. I think they would they'd be alarmed about what it is. And I think mostly they'd be alarmed at why the government won't allow it out.
Yeah.
And what's at the base of it. And all the theories aside, whether you think it's extraterrestrial, if it's something from this earth, if it's the Russians or the Chinese or the Americans, which I don't think it is. And then maybe allow some of the pilots to talk and tell exactly what they've seen. And the last briefing I had, some pretty incredible photos. And I think that you should have the right to see those.
Yeah.
And the critics are going to blast it. They're going to say it's AI, it's whatever. But you got to go back and ask yourself, why would some of the best pilots in the world, why would they risk their credibility to come out with this? Because anytime they make a sighting, a lot of times they'd have to get a psych evaluation and get all this stuff. And even if it's something they saw on radar. But now we've got officers in the Navy seeing these very, very large objects on the sonar traveling at a very high rate of speed, something that's exponentially faster than anything we can accomplish.
He talks very slow. Okay, he talks very slow for my liking, too slow for my liking. But what I will say is this, I am going to go to my TikTok, but before I do, I want to show you the receipts, okay, because I didn't show it on TikTok. I just told you all what he said, and he didn't say in any of these videos. But I just want you all to pay attention because this is what he said. This is what he said. He said, I'm not fluicidal. U.S. Congressman says UFO secrets that he knows can keep Americans up at night. Do y'all hear this? Said it will keep you up at night. What does he know and what do we not know but need to know? What is really going on here? Because I have several questions. Okay, I have several questions. Something nefarious is afoot. All right, please pay attention. Now I'm going to go to my TikTok where I gave more details. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. So they've just added 2 more scientists to the list of those that are deceased and missing. Let's get into it. 29-year-old Joshua LeBlanc died in a fiery crash in his Tesla July the 22nd of 2025. Now, he was a NASA nuclear scientist. His family had reported him missing when he didn't show up for work, and they also feared that he had been abducted. Please pay attention. The crash happened in Huntsville, Alabama, where his Tesla was found burned beyond recognition at about 2:45 in the afternoon. Okay, and this is what they say. They say the vehicle collided with a guardrail, then hit several trees before the vehicle burst into flames. And at 4:32 a.m. on the same day, LeBlanc's family reported him missing. Now, they said that he uncharacteristically failed to show up at his job as an aerospace technologies electrical engineer at NASA, where he worked on nuclear propulsion projects. This all sounds so nefarious. Please pay attention. They say that his body was burned beyond recognition, and police confirmed his identity 3 days later after his body was transported to the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences. Now, at the time, the family said they feared he had been abducted and that he had left his phone and his wallet at home at the time of his disappearance. Now, police were able to track LeBlanc down using the data from his Tesla Sentry mode and found that his vehicle sat at the airport in Huntsville for 4 hours on the morning of his death. His family said his trip west was not part of his plan for the day and that uncharacteristically, he was not communicating with them. Please pay attention. Okay, this is all so crazy. What is really going on here? Now, it does sound plausible to me for the family to have suspected that he was abducted by the mere fact that he left his home without his wallet or his phone. If he didn't have his wallet or his phone, why was he sitting at the airport? Why was his car there for 3 or 4 hours? This makes no sense at all whatsoever. It sounds like he was taken by force. Now, that's just my opinion. Please pay attention. Then we have a decorated Army veteran and aerospace pioneer, James Tony Moffett. Now, he and his wife, Lisa, and their 2 sons, Andrew and William, died in a plane crash last week. And we're just now finding out about it. Please pay attention. Now, Moffett, who was 60, was returning home to Huntsville with his family from Raleigh, North Carolina, when their Mooney M20 single-engine aircraft went down around 6:30 p.m. local time. The plane was on the course to refuel at Union County before it continued on to Huntsville, but sadly it crashed and all 4 lost their lives. Now, the National Transportation Safety Board and FAA are investigating the case. Please pay attention. Representative Tim Burchett has been speaking out about this, and he says that he was briefed on information that would set the earth on fire if it was to be released. He also said that it would cause the country to come unglued. He says he's been pushing for disclosure despite pushback. He also added that for the record, he is not fluicidal, okay, and that he doesn't take risk. Please pay attention. Something definitely is very sinister about these goings on. Burchett also alleges that the cover-up pertains to the extraterrestrial information and that those who know the truth are either dying or disappearing. Okay, please pay attention. Now, let me tell you what the extraterrestrial cover-up is, in my opinion. In my opinion, they know that those extraterrestrials are black and don't want anyone else to know. And we know that an astronaut has already said it. Some South African children that don't look like me have also said it back in, I believe it was 67 or somewhere around that time frame. Okay, I believe, and also, as I told you all before, because I have done thorough research on UFOs for years. With that being said, those little bald-headed creatures with the big eyes, those are called the Greys. They're not extraterrestrials. Okay, they're something like robots created by the real extraterrestrials, and many people don't know that. So maybe that's what they don't want to be known. But I absolutely think it's the fact that these extraterrestrials are black. Now, that's just my opinion. I could be absolutely wrong. And then again, I could be absolutely right. But hold on, because there is another scientist, or he's the former chief of aerospace medicine and NASA flights, Surgeon Dr. Gregory Rogers, raises alarm over missing officials, cites congressional warning. Now, he too obviously seems to be in fear of his life. So let's go to the footage, because listen, for Tim Burchett to say that he is not fluicidal, well, that definitely lets me know that he's concerned about his life, okay? And because he's speaking about these things and trying to investigate what happened to the missing colleagues, the missing colleagues, and the ones that died under suspicious circumstances, but he said he's receiving pushback. So why wouldn't they want him looking into it? Why would you not want any help that you can get from someone who's an official? Okay, he's a whole congressman. Why would you not want him to help you look into it, or to see whatever evidence he can gather, if anything? Okay, I find it all sketchy. But I absolutely think that some people in the government know all about it.
Rogers again. Yesterday, I made a video, sort of a self-preservation video, to reinforce the fact that I'm not suicidal. I'm concerned about all of the missing scientists and government officials, especially considering my background with the U.S. Air Force and NASA. It is interesting to me that Congressman Tim Burchett also felt the need to do this. At a press conference, he stated for the record that he is not suicidal and he's not prone towards any kind of risk-taking activities. The fact that this whole series of episodes seems to have caused him such discomfort and unease that he would do this, I think further illustrates the reason that I took that activity myself. Something else I want to point out, though, was that in that same interview, Congressman Burchett said that if the American public had access to the information he had been provided, that it would keep Americans up at night. Now, this is especially important considering that he is a very serious person. He's on some very important committees within Congress. So he doesn't make statements like this lightly. The fact that he felt the need to tell the American public this, I think, is very interesting. Anyone who has not seen his video or interviews, I would strongly recommend that you look it up and see what he's saying and listen to his words as he's telling it, because he is giving a message to the American public. Thank you.
I find it all interesting, but guess what else I find interesting, beloveds? Remember how we were talking this morning before ScrewTube blocked my video? Okay, but remember we were talking about all of the nefarious people in the Trump administration who drink too much? Let's talk about them. Pete Keg's breath, Small Change Patel, and then the woman, what was the little Hispanic lady's name that had on the bathing suit? I forget her name, but remember her. Okay, now that all being said, well, there seems to be somebody else. And this person literally got escorted out of the White House because they were running their mouth in a whole bar about secret information they weren't supposed to give. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. This whole administration is nothing more than a piece of shite. Okay, let's go to the footage, shall we? It's all crazy. Just giving up all kinds of secrets. First, we had Keg's breath with Chatgate. Okay, when he leaked the information that he shouldn't have to a journalist who, thank God, let them know what he had done.
See this, a top U.S. nuclear chief just got escorted out of the Pentagon after spilling war secrets drunk at a bar to a random stranger who happened to be filming the entire thing. Take a look at this.
The next guy, his son. If he doesn't stay his ways, yeah, they can kill him. We're gonna shoot missiles and destroy some stuff. Yeah. But if you want to like win, if you want to like make the country do what you want, you have to put people there.
I was hearing something that we killed kids in. Did we actually?
There's been some collateral damage, yeah, for sure. They always die in war, you know. So their radius is a chemical weapon.
First off, shout out to the woman who filmed this, an absolute hero, exposing the corruption and blatant incompetence from the Trump regime, from the Pentagon, and how careless they're behaving when killing civilians in Iran. This entire administration needs to be filmed, needs to be exposed, and they need to be prosecuted. Did you see this?
Absolutely nefarious. Now let's talk about it for just a second, shall we? Because I find this also interesting. First of all, why is he in a bar drunk and spilling all of the US's tea? So, you know, I told you all I fact-checked these TikToks. Okay, so yes, Andrew Hugg is his name, H-U-G-G. Andrew Hugg, identified as the U.S. Army Chief of Nuclear and Chemical Surety, has been placed on administrative leave and escorted from the Pentagon. I'm sorry, not the White House. Okay, following an undercover sting operation by the O'Keefe Media Group. Now, a hidden camera video released on April the 21st of 2026 allegedly shows Hugg disclosing sensitive and potentially classified national security information to a complete stranger, some random woman in a restaurant, no less. Now, chemical nuclear information, okay, that's, I guess, what he does. Hugg allegedly stated that the U.S. still possesses nerve agents and that a U.S. Army chemist recently died from exposure to one. Okay, well, thank you for that bit of information because I sure hadn't heard about it. Now, he also reportedly discussed how nuclear launch decisions are made and how they're made and how missile launch detections work. All right, and then he is alleged to have discussed U.S. plans for targeting Iran's supreme leader, mentioned that U.S. strikes had killed children in Iran, referring to it as collateral damage, no less, and discussed operational details of U.S. actions against Iran. Now, during the conversation, Hugg appeared to express romantic interest in the undercover operative, joking about her being an intelligence agent and noting the easiest way to get intelligence is to send a pretty girl. So he fell for the honeypots. Now, that all being said, he reportedly claimed that Ukrainian officials have used U.S. money to buy mansions. Oh, hell no! Did y'all hear it? Did y'all hear that? I'm sorry, what? Now, mind you, it was Joe Biden who sent them hundreds of billions of dollars. I don't know how much Trump has sent. But say what now? Remember I told you all on last year, I do believe it was, maybe the year before, but I showed you all the video footage of how the Ukrainians were partying and living it up out there in the club, okay, playing music and dancing, kicking back drinks and all that. And I said, wow, the war is going on and they're acting like they need all this money from the divided states. And we're sitting over here struggling, some of us. Now, what do y'all have to say about that? Okay, and why hasn't this been put on blast? Like they did Black Lives Matter when they went and bought all that expensive real estate. Did y'all hear that? I find it all so nefarious. But let me continue. This is a whole mess, is all I'm saying. Honey, I'm getting the hell up out of the United States. This country is for the birds, okay? And I'm talking about the ghetto birds, like Trump's whole entire administration, no less. Now, goes on to say, the U.S. Army confirmed that Hugg was placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. Now, verification. They say while the Army confirmed the suspension, many of the specific claims made in the video have not been independently verified by mainstream news outlets. Yeah, but since he's a nuclear chief or whatever he is in the military, I'm pretty sure he's telling the truth. Now, goes on to say, reports indicate Hugg was immediately removed from the Pentagon following the video's release. They wouldn't have removed him if he was telling a bunch of lies. Because we know that men can go out there and tell lies just to get a woman's attention or to, stroke their ego and make it like they're doing something or whatever. But clearly he was telling the truth, honey, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, they don't have to substantiate it for me. It's already been substantiated, in my opinion, when they said that he was put on leave and they took him right up out of that Pentagon. Okay, would they have done that if he was just telling her a load of BS? Clearly not. Now, the incident has raised significant concerns regarding insider threats and the security of sensitive military information. Would they even be saying that if he were lying? Y'all heard it, right? It's all crazy. This is all so nefarious. With that being said, let's continue. Because Trump's administration is destroying this country from the inside out. A bunch of drunk, moronic fools. Okay, is who's in charge? Are y'all listening to the bullshit? These people have lost their minds, okay? Everybody's out here drunk, partying, hitting on people, assaulting, allegedly spilling secret information that could get our soldiers in a bad way. I mean, this is all crazy. This is all crazy. So that all being said, let's continue. This is all sad. Now let's go to this video from David Whitlock that someone sent me that I found it quite interesting. Then we're going to talk about that Hispanic woman that was talking all of the trash. Okay, that was talking all of the trash about Black folk and how she can't stand us. She was going in, right? So there's a clip talking about her. Now I want you all to pay attention to this video. He doesn't say what group of people he's talking about. And even if, and I'm going to say this only once, and even if you think that you know what people he's talking about, and I'm sure you all will think you know, and as I think I know as well, of course we know, but just don't put it in the chats, okay? Now you all know the screw tube be all up in my chats, because remember that day I posted something in the chat and they removed my own comment saying they thought it was spam? Okay, so I'm just letting you know that they know what you're putting in the chat. So please pay attention. You don't want to get yourselves in any trouble, nor do you want to lose your accounts. All right, now let's get into it. This is what David Wilcox said. And this may have had something to do with why he's no longer here. I don't know, but I thought it was interesting. Now I'm going to put an overlay on this just so I don't get any copyright issues.
People honestly believe that they are the descendants of gods, that they are the chosen, that they are God's special people, that we are delusional, and that the true creator is this wisdom principle that they think of as Lucifer. That wisdom principle gave us ancient mystery school teachings, and that the enemy, which they call Adonai, the adversary, which we would call the Christian God, came to try to defeat them. Then they even take it a step further and they look at texts like the Bible and they say that where it says in the end times that God will take the money from the wicked and restore it to the just, that we as a planet are the wicked and they are the just. So this is how they justify their financial corruption. They don't believe that we deserve the money. In fact, they believe that if they did not dominate us and if they did not control us and play all these games, that we left to our own devices would destroy our planet. So in some twisted rationale, they believe they are saving the earth. They believe humans are bad for the environment. We cause pollution, so they have to reduce population. Then they seed that into movies like The Matrix, where Agent Smith says that that humans are like a virus on the planet. This is one of a variety of ways in which they will usually embed their teachings into the villain. These people honestly believe that they are the descendants of gods, that they are the chosen.
Okay, so you all heard that. All right. So they believe that it's Lucifer that is the God, and that the God that the God of Abraham, the God that we worship, is the adversary and the intruder who came to stop them. Say what now? I mean, you know, these are people's beliefs, and so be that as it may, everyone's entitled to their own thoughts and opinions. I would like to thank Thomas for sending me that very informative video, beloved, if you're listening. So, anywho, shall we continue? Find it all so nefarious. So now let's go to the report of this woman that called us chimps and all of that. Hold on, that's not it. Hold on, beloveds. Give me just a second. You know, before we get to that, let's go to what they say about Trump's ballroom. Now, I thought this was very interesting. Get a load to this. I'm going to share my screen. So the Washington Post broke this story, and this guy did a TikTok about it. And so let's get into it, shall we?
Holy corrupt bag of shit. The Washington Post just broke an exclusive report today on Donald Trump's ballroom project, and it's even worse than we thought. How is that possible? Don't get distracted. Thanks to a federal judge who forced the White House to release the contract, we now know more than we've ever known about how these donations were handled. And what I've found is that this contract has revisions that are completely unprecedented. First, as a result, any donation of any size is granted anonymity immediately upon request. And investigations of conflict of interest are only conducted for donations over $25,000. And per the contract itself, it's only a conflict of interest if the donor has direct business with the National Park Service or the Department of the Interior. Now, here's what this means. Because the Trump administration already released the names of 37 donors. This includes tech companies like Amazon and Meta, defense contractors like Lockheed Martin and Palantir, and other donors from crypto, tobacco, energy, and real estate. A separate investigation from Public Citizen found that just 16 of these companies received $279 billion in federal contracts over the last 5 years, and $43 billion in just the last year. But unless those donors have specific business with the National Park Service or the Department of the Interior, it's not considered a conflict of interest. In other words, a defense contractor waiting for a new federal contract could theoretically donate $10 million to the ballroom project, then receive a new contract with the Department of Defense, and that would not be considered a conflict of interest by this White House because the contract isn't with the parks or the Interior. Even worse, while we do know some of the donors, we don't know how much they donated. All we know is that based on what they've admitted to or bragged about publicly, we can only account for about $80 million in donations, meaning there's still at least $250 million in undisclosed donations from an unknown number of anonymous donors, any of whom could be seeking federal contracts or waiting for merger approvals. On top of that, the contract specifically says that the White House decides what information is disclosed, even when a conflict of interest is found. So unless Trump says it's okay, or unless a new Congress opens an investigation and forces the courts to force the White House to disclose, we will never know. Now, if you're a sane person and you're saying this should be illegal, you're probably right, because 100 years ago during the last Gilded Age, President Harding appointed his buddy Albert Fall as Secretary of the Interior, and Fall proceeded to give exclusive drilling rights in California and Wyoming to two of his buddies who ran oil companies, in exchange for almost $400,000 in bonds and cash paid directly to Fall, which were delivered 1 month after the leases were signed. And only because the governor of Wyoming saw the oil trucks with drilling equipment with his own eyes was a call placed to the senator of Wyoming, which resulted in an investigation that led to the whole thing coming unraveled. And now to this day, Albert Fall remains the only member of a presidential cabinet who ever served time because of crimes he committed while serving in government. Meanwhile, President Harding and the oil tycoons got off without a charge. That was the Teapot Dome scandal, which you probably learned about when you were a kid.
He said, when will this teapot boil over? And when it does, will Trump have a fall guy? Well, I'm sure he will. And that fall guy's name will probably be Pete Cagsbreath. Okay, now let's go to this doctor who's talking about Trump's alleged dementia, or so he thinks.
Dementia patient, specifically frontotemporal dementia, sundowning with access to social media. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home healthcare, treating patients with dementia, just like this guy. As you can see, this was posted at 3:51 p.m. Sundowning usually begins around dusk or the late afternoon hours and can last for several hours afterward. Sundowning occurs because of the brain atrophy that's occurring in the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain. The brain is literally shrinking inside his skull. This disconnects a person from their normal circadian rhythm or day-night sleep-wake cycles. As soon as the sun starts to set, which is why sundowning gets its nickname, you will notice increased agitation, restlessness, confusion, irritability, and paranoia.
Now, for those of you who have been paying attention, didn't I tell you that I thought this is exactly what was wrong with Trump? The same diagnosis. I'm no psychologist nor psychiatrist. Okay, my PhD is in public administration. But didn't I tell you all that I thought that's what was wrong with him? And then I told you also, I looked it up and showed you all the proof that it disrupts the sleep patterns. And I said that's likely why he's up all night, leaving those nefarious posts on Truth Social. Okay. Didn't I tell you all that? Because when I would follow Truth Social, I would see him posting like 1, 2, and 3 in the morning. And then I told you one time that he posted like 40 texts after midnight, 40 texts within an hour. That's almost 1 text per minute. Okay, clearly there's something wrong with him that he can't sleep. At his age, he should be sleeping like a baby at night.
As the evening progresses, the root cause of posts like this from him is paranoia. He knows that he is guilty as fuck. That's a medical term. And one of the other main symptoms of frontotemporal dementia is called confabulation, where the holes in your memory are filled in with lies that you make up and that you 100% believe. This is different from Alzheimer's, where forgetting things completely is characteristic. With frontotemporal dementia, you start making shit up. That's difficult to differentiate with this guy because he's always been a lying piece of shit. That's because his frontotemporal dementia is couched in malignant narcissism. Fantastic. Let's make him the president. What could go wrong? All of these symptoms, along with his possible history of stroke, TIA, heart failure, kidney disease, I think he's got roughly 2 to 4 months left in the land of the living. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So here we have a dementia patient.
Y'all heard what that man said, honey. He's board certified. Please pay attention. Okay, please pay attention. He is board certified, so I think I'm going to take his word for it. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this clip. This man said that he just saw David. He was obviously at the courthouse while David had his preliminary hearing on today. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to put an overlay on this because this man doesn't know me and I don't know him, but shout out to him. And he darn sure didn't say I can use this video.
So I'm literally here. I'm outside the courthouse in LA. I'm with all the media right here. We at the David trial, man. And I just literally, I went inside. I observed the trial. I seen David with my own eyes. Okay, let's get something out here. I saw David with my own eyes. I was sat a couple rows back from him. I literally see him walking in, jingling, jangling with the shackles on. He was in the orange jumpsuit, straight out. He didn't say anything other than one time he hit the yes, ma'am. He did the Gunner special. He said yes, ma'am, to something that the judge said, but that was it. We barely heard from David. He kind of had his head hung. It was low-key looking like he twisted up his hair or something. He was actually, I don't know, some people, I'm here with my guy, Young Camel, man. You said you weren't liking the look of David. I thought he was looking a little bit more fresh.
Hey, look, David's hair was a little bit messed up, man. A little bit unkept. You know, he didn't have any cocoa butter ready, but I mean, he had it poofed out. You know what I mean? He was using that water, that prison water on his head. It was looking a little ashy though. But you know, he looked confident in his case. I mean, he had his head up. You know, he looked like we're gonna get to the bottom of this and we're gonna figure this whole thing out.
I don't know if I agree with that, to be honest with you. I thought David was, you know, I don't know if he was looking confident in his case. I would say I'm not convinced that David's lawyers were looking the most confident. I got to give it to the DA, Beth Silverman. She was a killer, all right? She absolutely killed it. We out here, we got CBSLA right here, man. This is crazy. This is crazy. We're literally here at the courthouse. But basically, okay, what's really crazy is there were a few really big updates and a couple of things that, I'll be honest with you, not looking good for David. And look, I'll just tell you what I heard, okay? The new info that I got from the court today was that apparently, and I want to be careful how I say this, but apparently he had illegal videos on his phone. And apparently there are so many illegal videos on his phone, they can't even send the videos and the upload through the cloud because these are illegal literally videos. I'm talking A-minors. It's illegal for you to send these. It's illegal for you to watch these videos. So the discovery in this case is so sordid that he's then like the DA is struggling to even send the files around, okay? And apparently there is so much discovery. There's like 40 terabytes of discovery, so much information. They've got all of his entire iCloud, and they're saying that it's so big that the courthouse system for sending discovery, for sending files, videos, documents is overwhelmed. They can't even send it. I think they said since David got arrested, they've only managed to upload about 30% of all of the terabytes that they have. They said they have all of his iCloud account. And they even said it was funny because they said, look, we need some storage. We either need to have an update of the online system so that we can transfer all of these files, or we need the defense to give us hard drives. And it was pretty funny because at one point, Blair Burke from the defense, they pulled out a hard drive and they said, well, we've got 5 terabytes for you here right there. And Beth Silverman said that ain't even nearly enough. 5 terabytes ain't going to do nothing. We got 40 terabytes. And they said some of these files are so big, some of the files are 10 terabytes plus, that you need an entire hard drive to even just put one file. Like, there's so much. So they got his whole iCloud. He's got illegal videos of minors that are apparently illegal to send. And for people to actually, in the defense, to go and look at those videos, they're going to have to go to a special room in the courthouse and watch it on an approved computer, because you're not even allowed to load up this type of content on a device. It's illegal, all right? I don't want no parts of what they got going on with that. But also, apparently they had wiretaps on David. Apparently they had a wiretap going. I don't know how long for. I don't know if it was from when the crime happened, if it was even a period of time when, she went missing. It says they were investigating whether or not, that like, there was already an open case related to Celeste and David, and apparently they had a wiretap on him, and apparently that is so extensive, the prosecution haven't even heard all of it yet, and they're basically waiting to have it skimmed through, because as well, they've got to be careful that nothing on that wiretap goes against attorney-client privilege. So that is likely to mean that wiretap was probably recorded like during the period when David was still out here, but the crime was announced. I think that's when that wiretap was probably taken. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. So it was interesting because there was also a guy from the press that came through, and he basically was arguing that they should be allowed to have like cameras in the courtroom. Judge was not feeling that. Judge basically said, hey, we're not doing no cameras in the courtroom. That's not happening, unfortunately. I was able to get in court. I sat like a couple rows behind David. I literally saw the whole thing go down, and I'll probably keep coming back to just keep track of what's going on. But I feel like the biggest thing from this was the wiretap. Sounds like they got a lot of evidence. So many terabytes of information they're trying to upload, and it's confirmed that he did have illicit videos of minors in his possession. So I think that's a crime in itself. I don't see how he's going to explain that one away. That's been confirmed in court now. And yeah, we're just going to have to see. But I would say, to be honest, Beth Silverman, the district attorney, did an amazing job. She spoke very, very confidently. She was very, very on point. And I'll be honest, not trying to throw no shade, but I feel like Blair Burke, the defense, they was looking a little bit shaky. They was looking a little bit ropey. They didn't seem to have anywhere near as much confidence as Beth Silverman. There was even a time when it was like they was trying to schedule a next hearing, and they were talking about dates, and they were like, it's like Blair Burke's like, we could do the 27th or the 29th, and then like Beth Silverman's like, no, I can't work those dates. Like she was low-key walking them around the courtroom, and I feel like the DA did an amazing job and was really holding everyone's feet to the fire, even in like little small ways. So honestly, I just feel like the DA got their shit together, and David's defense just wasn't looking too confident. That's just my opinion. There wasn't really too much new info else. Was there new info that we could talk about? What else happened?
There's a certain amount of videos that we can't really talk about.
Yeah. So.
Well, there you have it, folks. He is done. Okay, he is done, and rightfully so. What are you doing with minors, you idiots? Okay, just awful. Okay, and they didn't say minor, so that means not just Celeste. He was clearly dealing with other minors, or at least getting videos of them or something. This is absolutely egregious. He's going down for the count. All that talent just going to waste. How could he be so foolish and stupid? But, this is exactly what he deserves. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this clip here. They hired the KKK. So now remember earlier we were talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center and how they are being, charged with fraud and all of this stuff. This is just to demonize them for daring to infiltrate the KKK, okay, in these neo-Yahtzee groups. That's all it is, like I said earlier. And I want you to pay attention because their argument falls flat, if you ask me, because hasn't the government done these things itself, specifically with Black people, COINTELPRO? Okay, so I'm sorry. They're trying to cover up, they're trying to punish them for exposing the Klan. That's what that is. They want to continue to cover up the nefarious practices that continue to permeate this country.
Good afternoon. Today, a few minutes ago, in the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. The indictment describes this conduct in detail, but one.
Now, let me say something. You see, this is the narrative that they're putting out. And then I saw Elon Musk posted on X. Elon, who's one of the biggest wanted supremacists that you can find, in my opinion, he posted on X saying that they were being paid. How did he put it? He said something along the lines of they were paying people to be racist or something like that, to spew division or whatever. But the bottom line is, no, they were trying to infiltrate to find out what these people were doing. Okay, so they're just flipping the script. That's all it is. That's all it is. They condone the Klan. They condone all of that in this country. That's why the Klan's allowed to register as a Christian organization. Okay, marinate on that.
One troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted in the death of 1 person and injured dozens more. This particular person being paid by the SPLC allegedly received approximately $270,000 over the course of 8 years. In total, according to the indictment, between 2014 and 2023, SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least. These individuals were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, National Socialist Movement, Aryan Nations Affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, the Nationalist Socialist Party of America, Nazis, and the American Front. Now, as the indictment lays out, after SPLC paid members of these extremist groups, it created.
Okay, listen. Let me say this. It's kind of hard to say because maybe they were paying these people to be racist. Who knows? I mean, I just feel like you can't trust most people who don't look like us. It just is what it is. So they absolutely could have been doing what he's saying. But what I do know is that he doesn't give a darn. Okay, it's not like they care about Black people, and this is why they're fighting this whole situation. They don't give a damn about us, both sides, as far as I'm concerned. All right. So Alejandro, thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. But now, at the end of the day, I would think that they're likely flipping the script. Okay? You just don't know. But what do you all think? What do you all think? Trisha says KKK members trying to expose the KKK, just like the people in Epstein files, only arrest Epstein and Maxwell. Exactly. Okay? Exactly. Okay, we the people say it right, Queen. Okay, so I just have so many questions. All of these different groups. Now, like I said, these are liberals, okay? And those are the Republicans who are prosecuting them. Now, If we have to take a guess who's on the right side, how do we even know? Because to me, most of them are devils, like I said, 90% at least. Okay, 90% at least. I don't trust either side. I don't trust the Republicans, and I don't trust the Democrats. I just don't. At the end of the day, if I had to choose a side right now, I'd have to go with the Democrats because of what the Republicans are clearly doing. But as far as this particular situation, you just don't know because they're both liars. Both sides just lie and do whatever. Now, I wouldn't put it past them to actually have been paying people to be racist. I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, I just always have questions in this country specifically. But like I said, what do you all think? You can't trust them, right? Neil said Elon is an agent of chaos. Oh, of course he is, beloved. I absolutely agree. Okay, I absolutely agree. That crazy bitch Ari said, I choose the couch again. Well, I'm going to vote, but I'm going to make sure that whoever I vote for is not receiving a darn dime from APOC. Okay, that's what I'm going to do, beloveds. Okay, Pathway and Prophecy says they should have to take the lie detector test to get in office and they should work for free. Okay, that's how it should go. You know, that's an excellent example. But you know, they're not going to work for free. These politicians are greedy. Okay, they engage in insider trading, allegedly, and all sorts of nefariousness, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, and so that all being said, Robert says he's a conservative. All right, honey, well, do what you do. That's right. Black women stand up. Hey, beloved, says sure can't trust either side. Exactly. Okay. It's all a mess. I mean, they absolutely could have been paying those people to do something nefarious because but here's the thing though. You see, like I said, the federal government itself has had these kinds of programs. Okay, let's not forget the Iran-Contra scandal. Let's not forget COINTELPRO. I mean, let's not forget Malcolm's death. Let's not forget Dr. King's death. Let's not forget JFK. Let's just think about all the things that has been done allegedly by this government at the end of the day. So I'm just saying, you just can't trust them. You just can't trust them. But the bottom line is, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Do the Republicans or the liberals, do they care about the Klan and these wanton supremacist hate groups existing? Because I don't think they do. I really don't think they do, because here's the thing. Now, if the SPLC was actually paying these people to do this stuff, you know, to infiltrate, to find out whatever nefarious things they were up to, well, did they report on this? Was anyone arrested? Okay, because that would show that they were trying to do something to help. But if nobody's been arrested, you haven't reported on this, and then you had someone that you paid as an informant actually spearheaded, okay, one of these rallies or whatever it was, where someone actually lost their life. I'm sorry, that sounds sketchy to me at the end of the day. And here's why you know that neither side really gives a darn about getting rid of these groups, because where's the Black Panther Party, the original one? I'm sorry, what happened to the leaders? Then they turn up dead. And aren't there still Black Panther Party members from the original ones still in prison till this day? Yeah, they absolutely are. So with that all being said, why is the Klan allowed to even still exist? Well, because there's a lot of high-powered people that are actually Klansmen and Klan women. Okay? Let's not forget about the Daughters of the Confederate. So all of that, they allow these groups to persist, but they want to demonize and vilify Black folk and try to act like we're racist when we speak out against racism. Okay, they should have gotten rid of the Klan a long time ago, as far as I'm concerned, but they didn't. They never did. Like I said, they're allowed to register as a whole Christian group, even though they've burned down churches. They've set fire to people's houses. They've murdered Black people by lynchings and other nefarious means. They've infiltrated the police departments all over throughout this country, okay, for decades. So with that all being said, I don't trust either side. Okay, but let's continue. Let's continue, because here's the thing. This person threatened to shoot a Black mail courier. And clearly it was just for being Black, because they weren't doing anything but their job. Okay, please pay attention. Now she's sitting in jail somewhere. Let's go to the footage. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
And behind the wheel was Lourdes Portuguese, who is now in jail on 2 counts of aggravated assault. Police say the 34-year-old attacked a postal worker delivering mail to her home and called her a racial slur.
She had no reason to be mad at this mail carrier. She was just doing her job.
Tuesday afternoon, police say a black postal worker was delivering mail to Portuguese's home on Northwest 18th Place in Miami when the suspect's son approached the victim to get the mail. That's when the suspect allegedly yelled at the child, saying, quote, "We don't talk to N-words." The police report states the victim said she was just trying to do her job when Portuguese then grabbed a water hose and sprayed the victim. Police say the postal worker ran in fear for her life and called 911, but things got worse.
And she gets into her vehicle. She tries to run over the mail carrier, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Investigators say Portuguese then threatened to shoot her.
As we're getting to the scene, she tells the mail carrier, "I'm going to go into my house, I'm going to grab my gun, and I'm going to shoot you."
Police say the victim wasn't hurt. Surveillance video shows officers on scene. Witnesses say Portuguese kicked and screamed as she was arrested, but say they're not surprised by what happened.
She was yelling, telling her, don't grab me, get off me.
This isn't the first time the cops has come to the house, to their house. It's happened many times.
Portuguese was arrested last year for battery and in 2024 on drug charges. Say the woman behind the wheel was Lourdes Portuguese, who is now in jail on 2 counts of aggravated assault. Police say the 30.
Just crazy, okay? That is so much hatred for a person you don't even know. There's something mentally wrong with these type of people. You're so angry and hateful towards people that have done nothing to you that you don't even know just because of their skin tone. Absolutely crazy. And you see, it's for situations like this, which is why I keep Mr. Smith and Mr. Wesson handy. Okay, because don't try it. Okay, don't F around and find out. Because the minute she acted like she was going to run me over with that car, I would have solved that problem real quick. Please pay attention, honey. Self-defense is always an option. Okay, please pay attention. Don't start none, and it won't be none. Point blank and serious. Now let's go to this next clip where this young man claims that he was stopped for walking while being black. I mean, these devils are obsessed with black people.
You had the obsession on you. You swung it to the back when we came around. Come here for a sec. Sir, I'm stopping you, sir. Sir, I'm stopping you.
Am I being detained?
Yes.
For what?
I'm telling you. Come here.
For what?
Come here. I'll talk to you. Come here.
Why are you grabbing?
Just talk to me.
Why are you grabbing?
Because you're being stopped. He's okay. He's okay. He's okay.
For what?
You're being stopped. I'm going to talk to you.
For what?
Okay, listen.
First of all, I'm going to need to know why that Caucasian officer sounds so black. Okay, please pay attention, okay?
Sir, I'm going to talk to you. Just calm down because I don't want to keep doing this. Just stop.
What am I being detained for?
All right, I'm going to tell you why.
Can you tell me right now?
Yes. Just stop right now. You keep trying to pull. All right, you going to stop? My man, when we came up, all right, as soon as you saw us, you looked back twice, correct? You also move your backpack in the your little satchel area in the back of you, okay? So what I was gonna do is pat you down for a possible weapon, okay? So with that being said, we're gonna take a stop report. Sir, come here. You can't move. Stay right here, okay?
What am I being detained for?
I already told you. We already went. So this is what we're also gonna do. We're gonna take a stop report for numbers, okay? You have an ID on you?
No.
You have no ID?
No.
Okay. You gonna give me your name, information?
No.
So we put a report for the report?
No.
So you don't want to give no information?
No.
Okay. We'll take it down at 4400. You're going to be John Doe, okay? Just to let you know, sir, we're going to take a report saying why we stopped you, okay? Do you understand the words that I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Copy this. You're free to go now, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, but stop and frisk, aren't you supposed to have probable cause, officer? Make it all make sense. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
Shit's getting weird. Part infinity.
Hey, Naveen. Hi, do you own this business?
No, my wife owns it.
Your wife owns it. Where's your wife?
She's at home.
She's at home?
Well, what does she do for the business if you're working here and she's at home?
I'm not working here. I'm trying to help her set up something.
Well, I just watched you take someone's order.
What?
I just watched you take someone's order. I thought you were the master chef.
No, I'm not the master.
Aren't you here on an H-1B visa?
I didn't say I work here. I help my wife. You can go and check.
Why are you working here if you're here on an H-1B visa for a Flexera Global?
Yes, I'm off my duty, so I cannot help my wife or what? You think that
You're not supposed to work anywhere else?
I'm not working? You think I'm getting paid
I just
for it?
watched you work.
You think I'm getting paid?
I
for it?
just watched you work, and you're
I
telling
can
me you
help
have nothing
my
to do with the
wife
company?
In my off hours, whatever. That's my family.
You should apologize to me for scamming my system. Do you know what? All of this is going straight to USCIS and the Department of Labor.
Jesus fucking Christ. What level of Karen is this? This has to be the final boss Karen, bro. This is nasty work. The guy's out here just doing what he's got to do, and you're like, we saw you. We watched you. Oh my Lord. How high does your horse have to be on, bro? That's a high horse for you to be out here like, look at him. He's working. Oh my gosh. He's making a life for himself. Ah, yuck. You want to go find the criminals? Fine, go find the criminals. But coming after a guy who's here on a visa, by the way, who's helping his wife and his family out on his off hours, bitch, get a life.
Thank you. That's exactly what she needs to do. These darn Karens get on my last nerve. I mean, they're just so miserable with their own lives. This is why they harass other people. I want you to pay attention. Studies show, okay? And by these studies, I mean my own research, mind you. But seriously, it is a known fact that people who are happy are not going around hating on other people. People who are haters are always mad and miserable, and they don't have anything lucrative or beneficial going on for themselves. Happy people don't have time for negativity. Happy people don't have time to be worried about other people's business. They're too busy worried about their own, trying to get their finances right, okay, trying to take care of their own business. All right, make it all make sense. I could never be a hater, okay? This is all ridiculous. If I see somebody that has something that I want and I don't know how to go about getting it, I will ask them what they went through to get it, okay? What I'm not going to do ever is sit back and hate on somebody who's just trying to live their life, okay? Or any other reason I'm not going to hate on you, but specifically someone who's doing work, someone who's trying to help their wife or doing their job or whatever. Why was she so concerned? Okay, and she didn't look like she was from the United States herself, by the way. Okay, if I'm just being honest. But anyway, let's go to this report where this man, a delivery driver, was gunned down at an Atlanta gas station. Okay, in a road rage incident. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. It's all so ridiculous. I mean, just stop obsessing over people that have nothing to do with your life. Sad. Alejandro, thank you, beloved, for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
All right, thank you, Taylor. 5:02 right now. And breaking this morning, a deadly shooting investigation in Southwest Atlanta. A food delivery driver gunned down at a gas station.
Atlanta News First Don Shipman is live with the First Alert breaking news tracker along Metropolitan Parkway. Don, what can you tell us?
Well, by all accounts, it seems that this young man was simply out trying to make some extra cash when he was gunned down at this gas station. I want to show you what's going on here right now. You can see that this area is all taped off right here. The gas station, the detectives here collecting evidence. They've been focusing a lot of their attention on a dumpster off to the edge. And then there's that black car right there near the gas pumps. They've been taking pictures and collecting evidence from that area as well. Police say that the young man was shot inside the gas station. Now, officers were dispatched here right around 2:30 this morning. This BP gas station is at the corner of Metropolitan Parkway and Lakewood Avenue. We're right off of the connector. Shortly after getting here, we spotted officers with police dogs canvassing Brookside Park apartment homes just up the street. Now, police confirmed that that scene is connected. It is still early in their investigation, but police are telling us that after questioning witnesses, they believe that this young man, believed to be in his late teens, possibly early 20s, was just out delivering takeout, decided to stop at this gas station, and at some point, someone shot him.
It appears that way. He was with a couple other individuals, so we've spoken with them, and so it seems like they were just a group of people out just, doing some work, delivering, picking up orders.
So look
And then back out here live right now, police have not identified the suspect and do not have a description of the suspect other than a male suspect. Right now, they're reviewing surveillance footage here at the gas station. So at this point, there are no arrests in this case. And of course, they're always asking the public to be on the lookout. If you see something, say something, contact police.
Rest in peace and condolences to the young man's family, friends, and loved ones. That's absolutely awful. Okay, let's go to the next clip. Absolutely sad and awful. People can't even do their jobs these days without getting smoked.
Being pretty beat up in these comments lately, and I just want to speak to my Black brothers and sisters for a moment. I grew up in the most affluent part of downtown Charleston, South Carolina, and 12 years ago, my wife and I started a mentorship group in a project neighborhood 2.5 miles from there. And what I saw in these kids was that they are the exact same as my kids, but there was no one advocating for them. So that's what I dedicated my life to. And I want you to know I am listening. I do read your comments. I understand that you don't trust me. I wouldn't trust me either. And I also understand you want me to reach my community, and I'm trying. But the reality is they don't listen to me any more than they listen to you. But some of them are waking up, and that is who I'm going to focus on. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for putting me in my place. And thank you especially for those of y'all who even said you would let me on the roof. So I've been getting pretty beat up in these comments lately, and I just want to speak to my Black brother.
Okay, whose cousin is that? Whose cousin is that? Okay, listen. I want to say this. The poor man was getting beat up in the comments, and he's trying to do good work. Now, I want you all to pay attention. There's some good white folk out here, and you have to use your discernment to try to sift through the rubbish to get to the good ones, okay? I want y'all to pay attention. They were going in on that poor man, okay? And like he said, I know you don't trust me. I wouldn't trust me either. All right? Bless his heart. At least he's trying. Okay? So Reggie said, although I appreciate that you went to hold on. This is scrolling too fast. Although I appreciate that you went to come into my community, but sir, go do the work in your own community first. Y'all are nefarious, okay? This man's out here doing the Lord's work, and y'all want to ridicule him. Now, in case this next video, I want you all to pay attention, because if you were wondering why this young or new generation, whatever you choose to call us, these little demons, if you want to know why they're so nefarious, well, here's your answer. Okay, here's your answer. Please pay attention to what this man says. Because this is why we keep saying stuff like, who raised you? And why some people even said, F them kids. Now, nobody would ever dare to say such a thing when I was a child. Okay, how about the rest of you? Nobody would ever have dared to say these things when the baby boomers were children. Okay, please. Now, with that all being said, the youth of today do not seem to have the cognitive skills and abilities and intellect that the rest of us have had. Now, don't blame me. This is what this guy says, and I believe it. Pay attention.
This man at all costs.
My name is Dr. Jared Cooney Horvath. I'm a former teacher turned cognitive neuroscientist who focuses on human learning. And I do not receive funding, nor have I ever, from big tech. So a sad fact our generation has to face is this. Our kids are less cognitively capable than we were at their age. Every generation has outperformed their parents, and that's exactly what we want. We want sharper kids. And the reason for this largely has been school. Each generation spends more time in school. We use school to develop our cognition until Gen Z. Gen Z is the first generation in modern history to underperform us on basically every cognitive measure we have, from basic attention.
Do y'all hear this, Gen Z? Do y'all hear this? Okay, y'all are a disgrace. At the end of the day, everyone else has outperformed the generations previously before them, and Gen Z has failed significantly, mind you. Okay? They dropped the ball. Well, I don't think they dropped the ball because clearly they never picked it up, but let's continue.
attention, to memory, to literacy, to numeracy, to executive functioning, to even general IQ, even though they go to more school than we did. So why? What happened? What happened around 2010 that decoupled schooling from cognitive development? It can't be school. Schools basically look the same. It can't be biology. This hasn't had enough time to change. The answer appears to be the tools we are using within schools to drive that learning. Across 80 countries, as Jean was just saying, if you look at the data, once countries adopt digital technology widely in schools, performance goes down significantly, to the point where kids who use computers about 5 hours.
Oh my God, are you serious? Hold on. God darn it. How did I do that? Let me see if I can go back and find it. Hold on, beloveds. Now, but I will say this as I look for this video. Damn it. Oh, hold on. Yikes. I can't find it. Anyway, let me look through my phone and see if I can find it on Instagram again. But here's the thing. This all makes sense to me because we all know, well, not all of us, but most of us have actually used a rotary phone before. Okay, now I saw a video that a grandmother posted of her 14-year-old grandchild who didn't even know how to use a rotary phone. Okay, I mean, and even if you hadn't been taught, it just looks like something that would be common sense when you pick it up, but clearly she had no clue. Okay, and the fact that everything is so digital, okay, that just dumbs you down, like Reggie said. It is the dumbing down of a generation. Okay, and then with this new math, the way they're teaching children to learn math and to add and subtract these days, I don't know why they had to change it from the system we previously had. Also, let's not forget that they no longer teach cursive writing. So what is that even all about? Okay, hold on, beloveds. Find it also interesting. Let me just go to another clip while I look for this for you guys. Please pay attention. This pastor had the audacity, dare I say, to tell his member to sell her house and then bring him the money. I hope she's not that foolish. Okay, but sad to say, some of these Christians will absolutely do such things if the pastor requests them to do so.
And I want you to wait. I want you to wait 90 days from this prophecy. I want you to wait 90 days. After them 90 days, I want you to position your house, get it ready to sell this property. I want you to get it ready. After you put it for sale, come see me. Okay? I'm gonna give you instruction. You got 90 days to pray all in the house. Well, I don't care. We got 90 days. But after those 90 days, come see me. I'm going to give you an instruction. And the Spirit of God is going to bless you. And you're going to sell it. And you're going to sell it. You're going to sell it. You're going to bring me the time. You're going to bring me the money. Okay. Because you ain't going to sell it if you ain't bringing me no money. Amen. I'm going to stop that sale. Amen. Amen. I'm going to stop that.
Okay. And y'all said pimping was dead? Clearly not. All right, clearly not. Okay, no, I did retrieve the video. All right, this is all crazy. I mean, he told her to sell her house. Told her to sell her house and then come back to him. What? This is sad. I hope she looked like she was falling for it too. Looked like she was more than thrilled. Okay. Reggie said this is witchcraft. Yeah, I think it is. I absolutely believe it. That's why they talk about the Holy Ghost. What about a ghost has anything to do with Christianity or being in church? I thought it was the Holy Spirit, okay? The Holy Ghost, okay? These people are under the spell of the ghost, which is where they get the word gospel. All right, please pay attention. Now, that's my theory.
Teacher turned cognitive neuroscientist who focuses on human learning. And I do not receive funding, nor have I ever, from big tech. So a sad fact our generation has to face is this. Our kids are less cognitively capable than we were at their age. Since we've been standardizing and measuring cognitive development since the late 1800s, every generation has outperformed their parents. And that's exactly what we want. We want sharper kids. And the reason for this largely has been school. Each generation spends more time in school. We use school to develop our cognition. Congratulations, you see your correlation. Until Gen Z. Gen Z is the first generation in modern history to underperform us on basically every cognitive measure we have, from basic attention to memory to literacy to numeracy to executive functioning to even general IQ, even though they go to more school than we did. So why? What happened? What happened around 2010 that decoupled schooling from cognitive development? It can't be school. Schools basically look the same. It can't be biology. This hasn't had enough time to change. The answer appears to be the tools we are using within schools to drive that learning. Across 80 countries, as Jean was just saying, if you look at the data, once countries adopt digital technology widely in schools, performance goes down significantly, to the point where kids who use computers about 5 hours per day in school for learning purposes will score over 2/3 of a standard deviation less than kids who rarely or never touch tech at school. And that's across 80 countries. Bring it home to the US. Let's go to the US. We have our NAEP. That's our big data. Take any state, and here's a fun experiment you can try. Take any state NAEP data, compare that to when that state adopted one-to-one technology widely, and watch what happens. The NAEP data will plateau and then start to drop. Dr. Jared Cooney-Horvath. I'm a former teacher turned cognitive neuroscientist who focuses on human learning. And I do
I guess that explains the foolishness, okay, by some of these young folks. Now, with that all being said, let's go to Kylie Jenner, who has been sued for discrimination, which I find also interesting. I'm going to share my screen.
Is being sued by a former housekeeper who alleges the beauty mogul's team harassed and discriminated against her for her race and religion. In documents obtained by E! News, Kylie's former housekeeper, Angelica Vasquez, filing a lawsuit April 17th in Los Angeles Superior Court against the Kylie Cosmetics founder, as well as 2 limited liability companies and 25 individuals who have yet to be identified, alleging she was subjected to severe and pervasive harassment while working for Kylie in her Hidden Hills residence from September 2024 to August 2025. Angelica alleges in the court docs that as a Salvadoran woman and practicing Catholic, she was routinely assigned the most difficult and undesirable tasks, excluded from the housekeeping team, publicly belittled and humiliated in front of coworkers due to her race, national origin, and religion, and subjected to intimidation and demeaning treatment. She says this alleged treatment created a toxic and abusive work environment, and that no remedial action was taken by any supervisors who witnessed this. When she did raise concerns, the docs say her complaints were dismissed, mocked, or ignored, with Angelica allegedly experiencing increased workload, reduction of scheduled hours, false accusations and disciplinary warnings, continued public humiliation, and hostile verbal and physical conduct. The complaint also alleges things turned violent in March 2025 when an unnamed supervisor threw hangers at her feet while reprimanding her. All these actions, Angelica claims, caused her to develop anxiety, severe stress, and symptoms consistent with post-traumatic stress disorder, requiring her to take medical leave in July 2025. When she returned to work, the alleged hostile conditions continued per the docs, and the working conditions became so intolerable she had no choice but to resign. In addition to punitive damages, Angelica is seeking restitution damages in the form of unpaid wages, meal and rest period premium pay, unreimbursed business expenses, unpaid sick leave, and all other compensation unlawfully withheld. It's important to note Kylie is not specifically called out in the complaint by name as participating in the alleged behavior against Angelica. However, she is listed as a defendant in the case. E! News reached out to Jenner's rep for comment and has not heard back.
I bet they haven't heard back. Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this clip where this woman has exposed a comedian. He must not be famous. I've never seen him before, and they don't mention his name. But nonetheless, he's her ex-husband, and she exposes him for abuse. Then he simply says that she's just upset that she doesn't have the person that he now is. Okay, mind you, they've only been divorced for about 3 years. So has he really changed a lot? I think she was married to him for over a decade, mind you.
I keep throw it. Skelly, understand me. You can try to keep throwing it. Act like it's fucking 5 minutes. You don't want to fucking.
Where's she at? You recorded everything on your phone?
We did the best already. On me. Already. Okay, but you ran out. Don't even worry about it. Because I'm not going to be on fucking video. Video on what? Of people. Why you coming up with that shit? Coming. You lost your mother.
Someone who's experienced domestic violence for over 20 years. Even me posting this video, why it took me so long is because it's a bit triggering, and I won't be leaving it up long. But I have to take the mask off. Y'all, this is me experiencing probably one of the mildest abuse sessions that I did, because I didn't want to post something that was extremely bad or super embarrassing or triggering to me. So for those who got bad comments, save them for your own self, or you're going to get blocked.
You can try to keep throwing.
Okay, so that's just absolutely egregious. And he has the audacity to say that she's upset because she wants the person he is now. How much has he changed in those few years? Okay. How much has he possibly changed? I don't think he's changed at all. All right. He was a whole grown man when he was doing that. And men who put their hands on women typically continue to do so. Now, if you know anyone who is suffering, or if you yourself are suffering from domestic violence or abuse, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Okay, if you are in a situation like that, please get help. Do not stay there. You never know how bad it can actually get. It usually gets worse over time. Okay, these people do not tend to get any better. All right? They just don't. So with that being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. All right, please like and share the video if you haven't done so already. Double check to make sure you're still subscribed to the Queen's channel. And I will see you all in the morning, beloved, with your morning wake-up call. But let me ask you all this. Do you all want me on tomorrow night, because I won't be outside like some of you nefarious people, but do you all want me to do something on unsolved mysteries? Put a 1 in the chat if yes. Okay, on tomorrow night, tomorrow night or tomorrow evening, if you all want me to do something on as it pertains to unsolved mysteries. Okay, let me know in the chat. Let me see what y'all are talking about. Okay, so y'all are saying yes. Okay, so that's what we'll do tomorrow. Okay, now with that all being said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beautiful beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And until next time, peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now.
That's
See
right.
a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy.
Real slick.
I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got